Hello, my name is Father Andy Moore. I'm a Catholic priest of the Diocese of Beaumont, Texas, and I wanted to make this video for two reasons. First of all, for anyone who's interested in the subject about Catholic marriages, but secondly, especially for any Catholics out there, who may be thinking about getting married, planning on getting married, and you want to get married in the church, but you're just hesitant to pick up the phone and call the priest. I want to make this video to help kind of dispel some of the common fears that people might have about starting the process of getting married in the Catholic Church. And in my experience, as a priest for 15 years, there are some very, very simple and common fears that people have. The first thing I want to say to you, if you're in that situation, if you're a Catholic, you're thinking about getting married, you want to get married in the church, but you're a little bit afraid, you don't know exactly what all's involved, the first thing I want to say to you is my hat is off to you. It's a wonderful thing. We're so very happy that you're first of all, congratulations on your engagement, and we're so happy that you're interested in getting married in the church, and we want to do everything we can to help answer any questions that you have and get you through the process. So let me talk about the 5 common fears and questions that I've noticed that people have that sometimes keep them from doing the very first thing that you need to do in this situation, and that is picking up the phone and calling your priest. The first thing that sometimes I hear quite often is this one. It costs a lot of money to get married in the church. Maybe you've been to a Catholic wedding, you've seen this grand elaborate production, all sorts of beautiful dresses and exquisite music, this beautiful ceremony, and then you go over to the reception hall at this swanky place, and they've had all this food catered in and a band playing, and you're thinking to yourself, this is wonderful, this is beautiful, but it is so far out of my budgetary range. It's so much more than I would want to ask my parents to kind of pay for. The first thing I want to tell you about that is that you can get married in the Catholic Church for $0. Marriage is a sacrament, and all the stuff that costs all that money are extras. You can have a wedding as simple or as extravagant as you want. And I know that I speak for many priests out there when I say that sometimes it's the real simple, no-frills wedding that really seems to capture the spirit of what Christian marriage is all about. If you want to have a big wedding, fancy wedding with all the bells and whistles, that's fine and that's great. But know that you can have a wedding as simple as you and your fiancé and 2 witnesses. You can just do the marriage preparation, then show up in church, and it's a simple prayer service which you say your vows. You can go out to eat at Chili's afterward if you want to. Sometimes you'll be asked to make a small donation for the use of the church. We don't do that in my parishes. Some parishes do, just to pay for some of the cost. But know that you don't have to pay hundreds and even thousands of dollars to get married in the Catholic Church. So that's the first fear that sometimes keeps people from picking up the phone and starting the process. The second one is a big one. I've been married before, or my fiancé has been married before, and I know that that means that we can't have a Catholic wedding, and so I might as well not even call. I can't tell you how many people I've known over the years who've been married outside of the church for this reason. They've been married before, one or the other or both. And they just said, well, we can't get married in the church, so they get married. It means that they can't receive communion anymore. It keeps them away from the church, sometimes for years or even decades. And then when they finally come back, and sometimes we discover that the solution was so very simple. And it's great because we can bring them back into the practice of their faith, but they often say, man, I can't believe I let this keep me away from the practice of my faith for so long. Sometimes it is a very simple solution. Sometimes you don't have to go through a big, long, formal annulment. It just kind of depends on what your circumstance, your situation is. Sometimes you do have to do the annulment process, but you'll have if you call your church, you'll have a priest or deacon or somebody to sit down with you and go through your situation. They'll be so happy to sit down with you and go through it and let you know what your options are. And in almost every situation, there is a solution. So please, don't let that keep you away from a Catholic wedding. The third one, my fiancé is not a Catholic. Some people think that, if they're Catholic but they're marrying a non-Catholic, that means they can't have a church wedding. That's not true. You can and you should. If your fiance is agreeable to it, if they're even if they're not even Christian, even if they're not even religious at all, whatever it is, whatever the situation, if they're willing to do a little marriage preparation and be married in the church will be more than happy to celebrate a church wedding, a sacramental wedding if they're Christian, but a church marriage with you and your fiance. And don't let that keep you away from doing it. Now, in the marriage preparation process, if you are marrying a non-Catholic, the Catholic party will be asked to promise two things. First, you'll be asked to promise that you plan on remaining Catholic. Secondly, you'll be asked to promise that any children born of the marriage, you're going to do whatever you can in your power to see that they're baptized and raised as Catholics. We don't ask the non-Catholic party to promise anything, but we do want them to know what you are promising. But also you should know that, in the time of the marriage preparation process, there's going to be no pressure at all on the non-Catholic party to become Catholic. We will respect their religious outlook, their religious beliefs, their, whatever religion they ascribe to, or if they don't subscribe to any religion, we're not going to pressure them to be Catholic. We're going to respect who they are and what their values are. So don't let that keep you away from getting married in the church. The fourth one, I've been away from the church for a long time. That's something that, gosh, it's something that I want to get married in the church, but I'm scared if I call my priest, he's going to gripe at me, or he's going to give me the third degree, or make me that good Catholic guilt, make me feel guilty. No, when you call your church, even if you've been away from the church for a long time, your priest, your deacon, if he's like me, if he's like he should be, I think, is going to be so happy to hear from you. Sometimes marriage is kind of the catalyst to really click, to let your faith really click, and it really brings people back to the practice of their faith. It's a wonderful thing to witness. Your priest, your deacon should be very, very happy to take that call, even if you haven't been practicing your faith, and to sit down with you and say, let's talk about what a Catholic marriage is, what it means, and encourage you to really go forward with the process. Don't let that keep you away. Look at it as this is a chance. You're getting ready to make the biggest commitment of your life. This is a chance to really turn over a new leaf in your spiritual life and let God be a part of it, let the church be a part of it, and we're going to be happy to work with you. And finally, the fifth reason that sometimes I hear, oh my goodness, I've got to do this for 6 months. Some parishes, I've got to do this for 9 months. We're in love. Why can't we just call and rent the church for next week and get this done? Why do we have to do this long, drawn-out preparation process? Well, think of it this way. If you're studying for a job, you might have to go to college for 2 or 4 or 6 or 8 years because it's important that you know what you're doing. Your marriage is so much more important than what your job is. And so it's only reasonable to say, let's spend a few months really getting ourselves ready for this. This isn't a way to judge you or discourage you from getting married. Think of it as a gift from your church to really help you enter into this marriage with your whole mind and heart. To understand, a little bit what it means to lay down a good solid foundation for marriage. To understand who God is and what role God wants to play in the marriage. To really, enter into this marriage with your whole full heart. And the marriage preparation process is going to help you do that. It usually consists of a few meetings and helps you really understand and engage the whole process, again, with your whole mind and heart and soul. And I think most people are really grateful for it after they've gone through the marriage preparation process because it really helps them to celebrate the seriousness of the commitment that they're getting into. So those are kind of my just brief answers to some of the common objections or common fears that people might have about picking up the phone and starting the process for a Catholic marriage. Don't let anything stop you. We're going to be glad to hear from you. Just the main bottom line is call your priest, talk to your priest after church, whatever. Set up a meeting and say, let's talk about getting married in the church, and whatever it is that needs to be worked out can be worked out. If you have any other questions or fears or thoughts that might keep people away from getting married in the Catholic Church, and you'd like to bring them my attention, you can write a comment, and I'll get back to you with any thoughts that I may have. Thanks, and God bless.